are in 4 places. So the Gemara was listing the 4 places where he paskined like Rabbi Eliezer. We're at the tail end of explaining the 4th. Okay, so the 4th was a halacha which said that if you have a kli which came in contact with liquid, which was tamei, so there was a din d'Rabbanan that the kli would be able to, utensil would be able to become tamei also. So 5 lines up from the bottom. Ma'ishna achori kelim denaka. So in that brisa which was describing that din, it said the achori kelim. It said the outside, the back of the kli. So why did you say the back of the kli denakat? Mishum dekili. The reason he said that is because the back of the kli is more lenient. Detnan kli shenitma me'achoriv b'mashkin achoriv tamei. Because we learned in a Mishnah that a kli which became tamei from the achoriv, from the back of it, with liquids, the back of it's tamei. Tocho ozno ogno yadav tahor, and the other parts of the kli remain tahor. But nitmu tocho, but if a kli, if a utensil became tamei from the inside, kulo tamei, the entire thing becomes tamei. Rashi says, and one of the halachas we were saying before, which was that if that kli would come in contact with food, would it be able to make that food tamei also? So the difference we're saying is if the outside of the kli was the thing that became tamei, it's more lenient, and therefore the rabbis never made it that if the food would come in, that kli would passel the food, would make the food tamei. But if the inside of the kli is the thing that became tamei, which we see as more stringent, so then if it came in contact with food, that was included in the din d'Rabbanan, that it would be able to make the food tamei as well. Okay, so again, the statement we had was Amar Rabbi Amar Shmuel. In 4 places, we paskin like the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. So 3 lines up from the bottom of Zayin Amud Beis. Ask the Gemara, "My kamash Shmuel on Shmuel." What is Shmuel coming to tell me when he says in 4 places we paskin Rabbi Eliezer? Bekulu tanan hilchasa. Says the Gemara, in most of the things that he listed, it already said in the Mishnah or the Brisa what the halacha was. And it said the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. So just as quick introduction, there's basically 2 time periods we deal with in learning the Gemara. There's Tanoim, which consists of the people included in the Mishnayos and Brisas. Right? When the Gemara says Meisvei or Tanya Kavasei, that's Brisas, which is the same time period as the Mishnayos. Then after that is the Amoraim, Rav, Shmuel, all the Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish, etc. So just an interesting point. There's a basic premise the Gemara always works with, which is that a Tana is a question on an Amora. So again, the Tana was the earlier time period. The Gemara would always ask on an Amora from a Brisa, from a Mishnah. So just there's an interesting question the Kesef Mishnah talks about, which is why is that? Why is it that the Gemara deals with the premise that a Tana is a question on an Amora? So he writes that because the Amoraim were makabel, accepted upon themselves to listen to the words of the Tanoim. The Chazon Ish writes that it could be that's true, but he would have thought it's more basic that if we all recognize that the generation before us is much greater, so then it would be illogical for us to want to argue with him. Okay, so that's just an interesting note. So what the Gemara is asking is, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 places. Ask the Gemara, Shmuel, what's your chiddush? What are you teaching me? If you're telling me the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, well, in the Brisas, the Mishnayos we brought, it already says the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe you'll tell me his chiddush just as in the 4th case that he listed. In that case, it didn't say explicitly the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. So in other words, maybe 3 of the cases, Shmuel's not really telling me anything. Maybe his chiddush is just in the 4th case, which didn't say the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Shmuel saying we still paskin Rabbi Eliezer. So v'leima halacha like Rabbi Eliezer b'achari kelim. So ask the Gemara, if that's all he's telling me, so then he should have said in the 4th case we paskin Rabbi Eliezer. If he phrased his statement as in 4 cases we paskin Rabbi Eliezer, it sounds like he's teaching me something in all 4 cases. What he's teaching you is that even though in the Mishnah, the Brisa, the Mishnah Brisa told you how we paskin. If an Amora would come and disagree with the people in the Mishnah of how to paskin, you would go with the Amora. So basically, just because it said it in the Mishnah that the people in the Mishnah said halacha Rabbi Eliezer, Shmuel's coming to say, but the reason we really paskin Rabbi Eliezer is because I said halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so that's really, in all four cases, he's adding to me halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Ask the Gemara, V'su leka, are there no other cases where Shmuel paskin Rabbi Eliezer? Again, he got up and said, in 4 places we paskin Rabbi Eliezer. Sounds like that's a rule. So ask the guy, and there's no other places you paskin like Rabbi Eliezer? V'ika detnan Rabbi Eliezer omer, melamdin asaktana shetimoyin bo. So this case is, let's say you had 2 sisters married to 2 brothers, okay, and one of the sisters was still a ketana, she was a young girl. Okay, now the older brother passed away. Okay, so again, you have 2 marriages. You have the 20-year-old boy and the 20-year-old girl, and the 15-year-old boy and the 10-year-old girl. Okay, so the 20-year-old boy, 20-year-old girl, that's a full marriage. That's a marriage d'oraisa. Okay, so now when that husband dies, the 20-year-old husband dies, so his wife needs to do yibum. She's zakuk li-yibum. Okay, the problem is that his younger brother has a d'Rabbanan marriage with the younger sister. So on a d'oraisa, from the Torah's perspective, he needs to marry the older sister, but on the d'Rabbanan, he can't. So what do? Says Rabbi Eliezer, melamdin asaktana shetimoyin bo. We teach the ketana that she should do miyun, which is a way to uproot the kiddushin d'Rabbanan which she had. So it makes it that she was never married either midrabbanan with a younger brother, and therefore the younger brother could do miyun to the older sister. And the same person, Rehuda Shmuel, said, we paskin Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara's question is, he said in 4 places we paskin Rabbi Eliezer, and he listed the 4. But if we pay attention, we found the 5th place that he paskin Rabbi Eliezer. Says the Gemara, Ki Amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Eliezer bedalid. That's beseder taris. When he said that, paskin like Rabbi Eliezer, he meant in Seder Taris. And that section of the Mishnayos, that's where there's 4 places. He was never talking about the other parts of Torah. In other parts of Torah, he could paskin. He was never talking, so it's not a question to find another case the paskins Rabbi Eliezer. Hachanami mistabra says, I'll prove it to you. That nan Rabbi Eliezer omer, af harode v'nosin l'sal, hasal matzarfen l'chala. If when a person baked challah, he baked it, there was never a point in time where there was the amount of dough that's chayiv and challah together, and only afterwards he put it all in a basket. Says Rabbi Eliezer, the basket will combine all the breads together to make it that now you're chayiv and challah. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Eliezer. And Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, the same person, said, we paskin Rabbi Eliezer. So says Gemara, it's the same question. I thought you said only in 4 places you paskin Rabbi Eliezer, and I found another one. So Shema Mina must be you were only talking in Seder Taris, in that section of the Mishnayos, but in other places it's not a question to find that Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel still paskins Rabbi Eliezer. Ask the Gemara, my olmei dahai mehai. So it's a little bit of a funny thing. We had the original statement which said 4 places Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel paskins Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara had a 5th case. So it answers, he was only talking in Seder Taris. So Gemara, I'll prove it to you, because you have a 6th case. So really, both exceptions is the same question. One's not a better proof than the other. It's the same question of, if you said 4 places, so I found a 5th case and I found a 6th case. But the Gemara presented it as, you want to answer the 5th case, the answer is it's a different Seder. And I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you the 6th case. Well, the 6th case is no better proof than the 5th case. It's just the same exact question twice. So I asked the Gemara, my omei hai mehai. What did you prove more by just asking the same question and saying the same answer? If you want to say you have the same question twice, good. But the Gemara sounded like, I'll prove to you that's a good answer. Because how are you going to answer this? You're going to have to say what I said. So says the Gemara, why is that more compelling that that's the answer? Mishum dekoi Rebbe Elazar kavasei. Again, until now we were discussing the Tana Rebbe Eliezer. Says the Gemara, that the first case about miyun, you could have answered that he paskined like the halacha Rabbi Eliezer said, because koi Rebbe Lazar kavaseh, because there was another Tana Rebbe Lazar without the yud, who seemingly said the same halacha. Detnan Rabbi Elazar Omer Melamdin as haktana shetimoyin bo, which sounds like very similar words. We teach the ketana that she should do miyun. So what the Gemara is suggesting is that first case wouldn't necessarily have proved the answer that only in Seder Tyrus did he say 4 times and other places more, because you could have answered differently and said that maybe he really paskined like Rabbi Eliezer, not because of Rabbi Eliezer, but because of Rebbe Lazar, which seemingly said the same halacha. So what the Gemara was saying, but this 6th case, which there's no other Tana to blame it on, that proves the answer that it must be outside of Seder Tyrus is different. Ask the Gemara, Mikoi, is that true that Rabbi Eliezer and Rebbe Lazar are really saying the same halacha about miyun? But the Gemara in Yevamos, when it's discussing it, explains how they're not exactly saying the same thing. So once they're not saying the same thing, so then we're back to our question of the Gemara sounded like the case of Chala was a better proof that Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel paskins like Rabbi Eliezer in more places than 4 in different outside of Tyrus. The Gemara's question is, why was that a better proof than the case of Miyun? Ela mishum tekoi Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava kavasei. Tatanya Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava heyed heydvar. So the answer is no. The reason why the 5th, the case of Miyun, wasn't such a good proof is because you could have said he paskined like that opinion because there was a different Tana like it also. But we're trying a different Tana. It's Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava who said the same halacha. Because what did he say? He said 5 things. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. 1, shememanen es haktanus. So that's the one that our Gemara is going to be paying attention to. So you teach ktanus to do miyun, to uproot their kiddushin, their marriage to Rabbanan. Shemesiyan es ha'isha al pi eid echad. Second thing he said is that a woman can get married if there's one aid who's saying that her husband died. Sheniskal tarngal b'Yushalayim al sharages hanefesh. So just like you find by other animals that if it kills a person, the halacha is the shor gets killed. So too, it's not specifically a shor. It would be the same thing by a tarngal, by a chicken. That once wine has sat for 40 days, then you can bring it on the mizbeach. But before that, it's still not called complete wine. And the Tamid Shal Shachar, the carbon they would bring daily in the Beis HaMikdash, should be brought within the first 4 hours of the day. Okay, so the Gemara says, let's focus on the first statement. Mike Tanos. He said plural that you teach Tanos, plural, multiple young girls how to do miyan, how to uproot their kiddushin d'Rabbanan. Lav chada de Reb Elazar v'chada de Reb Eliezer. Didn't he say it plural to include the 2, both Rabbi Eliezer's halacha and Reb Elazar's halacha? Which again, the Gemara said the words sound similar, but the Gemara said the Gemara in Yevamos really explained how there's a difference between the 2. We're saying, but didn't he say in plural to include both of their halachas? Lo, my ktanas de alma. So the Gemara is it's not mukhrach, it doesn't have to be. It could be, he said it plural, even though it's only one case, he's talking about multiple girls who the same case would happen to. Ask the Gemara, if that's true, when Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava talked, he didn't say, he said, Mesinas ha'isha. He said, you let a woman get married. He didn't talk about multiple women in the same case. He talked about one woman in that case. So if you're going to answer, he said plural in the first case, not because he was referencing 2 different cases, but it was one case meaning one halacha with multiple cases about the same halacha. So then in the next line, he should have done the same thing. So v'nema nashim de alma elamidahacha ktani isha v'hachi ktani ktanas. If you read his words carefully, and in the first line he said plural, in the second line he said singular. Shma mina dafka ktani shma mina. It must be that in the first line when he said plural was because he was referencing 2 separate halachas. What are the 2 separate halachas? One was Rabbi Eliezer's halacha about miyun. and one was Rebbe Lozer's halacha about miyun. So what the Gemara is doing is, we had Rav Yehuda Mishmul's statement which said 4 places I paskin Rebbe Eliezer. Asked the Gemara, I have a 5th, that you paskin like Rebbe Eliezer, that said you teach a ketana, a little girl, to uproot her kiddushin to solve the yibum problem. Says the Gemara, maybe the answer is outside of Seder Taurus is different. Says the Gemara, and I'll prove it to you. Because there's a 6th case about challah where we also paskin Rebbe Eliezer. So again, the question was, why is the 6th case a better proof than the 5th case? If you want to prove that the original statement was more limited because you have other cases, so good. So you have two questions. Why was the 6th case a better proof? So what the Gemara is answering is, the 5th case, you could have said that he paskined like Rebbe Eliezer, not because of Rebbe Eliezer, but because Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava said the same halacha as Rebbe Eliezer, and therefore it wouldn't necessarily prove that the original statement of I paskin Rebbe Eliezer in 4 places is limited. But the 6th case, where there's no other Tana to blame it on, so it must be you're really paskening Rebbe Eliezer in a 5th case, in an extra case. Your original statement said 4, that was limited to Seder Taurus. Okay, smack in the middle, Chesed and Aleph. V'chein Omer Rebbe Lozar, so just to clarify, this, before we discussed 2 names, which was 2 names in the Tanoim. We discussed Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Lozar. Now we're discussing a 3rd, which is in the Amoraim, which is a later Rebbe Lozar. V'chein Omer Rebbe Lozar, halacha ki Rebbe Eliezer. Okay, so Rebbe Lozar, the Amora, is saying we paskin Rebbe Eliezer, the Tana, B'dalet, in 4 places. It's a very similar statement to Amar Rav Yehuda Mishmul. Ask the Gemara V'suleka, are there no other places? Batnan Rebbe Eliezer Omer, Melamden as haktana shetimoin bo. So the same Mishnah we brought that if you're stuck in a case of yibum, so you teach the young girl to do miyun, which will solve the problem about yibum. V'omer Rebbe Lozar halacha Rebbe Eliezer, and Rebbe Lozar the Amora said the halacha is like Rebbe Eliezer the Tana. So same question. We had a statement where you said in 4 places I paskin like the Tana Rebbe Eliezer, and we found the 5th. You, the same person, said in a 5th. V'chitema ki Amar Rebbe Lozar halacha Rebbe Eliezer bedalid b'seder Taurus. And if you'll answer what we said before, then maybe Rebbe Lozar the Amora only meant in 4 places in Taurus, I paskin Rebbe Eliezer, v'alpshar sedar ika, but maybe in other places he paskins like him, even in more places, umi ika. But is that true? Vatnan, havered v'kofer v'alatum v'ktaf. So Rashi says these are types of besamim, types of spices. Yesh lahen shvius ulidmeyen shvius. So they have the halachas of shmita, and their value, if you would exchange them, the value also have the halachas of shmita. Yesh lahen biur lidmeyen biur, and they also have the halachas of biur of at a certain point, for the animals it's finished in the field, so a person's not allowed to keep them for himself in his house. The Omer Rav Padas said, so Rav Padas is the son of the Amora Rebbe Lozar we were discussing. Okay, so again, the Gemara is discussing Rebbe Lozar, the Amora, who paskin like Rebbe Eliezer, the Tana, in 4 places. So this is the son of Rebbe Lozar, the Amora. So Amar of Padas, Man Tana Katfa Pira, who's the opinion that says Ktaf, that 4th thing we said in the list, has the halachas of a has the halachas of a fruit. Rebbe Eliezer. It's Rebbe Eliezer the Tana. The Amar Reb Zera, and Reb Zera said, Chazi de minach ume avuch. So we're going to be paying attention to the avuch, because the avuch is Rebbe Eliezer the Amora, which our Gemara is discussing. Okay, so Reb Zera said, I see from you and your father, kashrisu katfa la alma, that you're allowing people to benefit from katva and shmita. So why? At amrat man tana katva pira Rebbe Eliezer, because you said that the Tana, the Mishnah which said katva is a pira, that's a single opinion. That's the opinion of Rebbe Eliezer. V'avucha amar halacha Rebbe Eliezer bedalid, and your father said we only paskin Rebbe Eliezer in 4 places. So basically, we had the original statement of Rebbe Lozar the Amora, who said, I paskin Rebbe Eliezer in 4 places. Okay? The Gemara asked, but there's a 5th. And if you'll answer me, that maybe when he said 4, he meant only in Seder Taurus. But in other places, he passed in like Rabbi Eliezer in more places. Asked the Gemara, but when we were discussing the halachas of Shvius, which is in Seder Zroyim, not in Seder Taurus, and it was clear that Reb Zera understood that he didn't paskin like Rabbi Eliezer in more than 4 places. So we basically see from this conversation that Reb Zera understood he only paskin like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 places in all of Shas, not limited to Seder Taurus. So once that's true, it comes back the question that how do we understand that he paskin like Rabbi Eliezer even in a 5th case? V'him Isa leima leiki Amar Abba halacha Rabbi Eliezer bedalad b'Seder Taurus. If what we were suggesting as an answer is right, so then we should have answered that's not a good proof. Maybe my father only paskin like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 places. That was limited to Taurus, that section of the Mishnayos. But in other places, he could still paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara is proving it must be he understood, the son understood from his father, that rule of I paskin like him in 4 places is much broader than 1 section of the Mishnayos. Says the Gemara, Lakasha hahi. So that brings back the question, so how are we going to answer this 5th case of Yibum where Rebbe Elazar the Amora paskin like Rebbe Eliezer the Tana? Rabbi Elazar kavasei. Says the Gemara, maybe you could answer, similar to what we suggested before, that you're right, he only paskin Rabbi Eliezer the Tana in 4 places. That's true in all of Torah. There's a 5th case. The 5th case was not because of the Tana Rabbi Eliezer, it was because of the Tana Rebbe Elazar. The Tanan Rabbi Elazar Omer Melamdin Asat Katana Shetimayin Bo. Rabbi Elazar seemingly said a very similar halacha to Rabbi Eliezer the Tana, that you teach the little girl to do miyan. Ask the Gemara what we said before, mikoi, is it really the same exact halacha? The Gemara in Yevamos clarifies how that's not exactly the same halacha. So once it's not the same, so then we're back to our question. We have a Rabbi Elazar the Amora said I paskin Rabbi Eliezer the Tana in 4 places. We found the 5th. So we're trying to say the 5th is not because of Rabbi Eliezer the Tana, it was because of something else. But in our first suggestion, we got stuck. Elo mishum dekay Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava kavasei. Mara says you can answer what we said before, that 5th case, it's not because of Rabbi Eliezer the Tana, it's because Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava said the same halacha of miyan on the Ketana. That's why he paskined that 5th case. Okay. Ask the Gemara V'suleka. Are there no other places where you, Rabbi Elazar, the Amora, paskin Rabbi Eliezer, the Tana? But Tanan, we learned in a Mishnah. Rabbi Kiva Omer bracha revius b'fnei atzma. So we're talking about the mentioning Havdalah and Shemona Esrei and Motzei Shabbos. Okay, so we know that we say it in Chonin Hadas. Inside the bracha of Chonin Hadas is where we say it. So this is the Mishnah that discusses it. Rabbi Kiva says it should have its own bracha for itself. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Bahoda. Rabbi Eliezer says you should say it included in Modim. The Omer Rebbe Elazar, and Rebbe Elazar said halacha Rabbi Eliezer, that we paskin Rabbi Eliezer that we should say it in Modim. So again, we don't hold like this, but we're trying to figure out what is the opinion of Rabbi Elazar the Amora. So Rabbi Elazar the Amora in a 5th place, paskin like Rabbi Eliezer the Tana. So Amar Rab Abba Hahuda Amar Mishum Reb Chanina ben Gamliel. No, that was not because of Rabbi Eliezer the Tana. That was because Rabbi Eliezer the Tana said it in the name of Reb Chanina ben Gamliel. The Tanya Rabbi Akiva Omer. Rabbi Akiva says Omer bracha revius b'fnei atzma. It should be in its 4th bracha by itself. Reb Chanina ben Gamliel Omer boda. So Reb Chanina ben Gamliel said you should say it in Modim. So because Rabbi Eliezer said it in the name of Reb Chanina ben Gamliel, that's why he paskined. That's why Rabbi Elazar the Amora paskined like it. Ask the Gemara on a detail the way we said it. Vakashish minei tuva. You said that Rabbi Eliezer the Tana said it in the name of Reb Chanina ben Gamliel. Says the Gemara, but if you work out the time period, it's really the reverse. The Reb Chanina ben Gamliel was much younger than Rabbi Eliezer. So it can't be that he's quoting somebody in a later generation. So we'll just change the way we said it. Elo mishum dekoi Reb Chanina ben Gamliel b'shitase. It's not because Rabbi Eliezer was saying it in the name of Reb Chanina ben Gamliel, but we were paskening like that opinion because those two Tanaim lined up with the same Shita. Okay, Umikai asked the Gemara, is that true? The Reb Chanina ben Gamliel really holds like that? Vatanya. We learned in a Brisa, or Yom HaKippurim, it's talking about Motzi Yom Kippur. So, I'm sorry, Leil Yom Kippur, the night of Yom Kippur, Mispalol Sheva, the Shemona Esrei has 7 brachas to it, Umizvada, and a person says Vidoy in the Shemona Esrei. Shachris, Yom Kippur morning, Mispalol Sheva, Mizvada. The Shemona Esrei again has 7 brachas to it. Right, the first 3 is exactly the same as the rest of the year, and the last 3 is the same. The middle one is the bracha for the day of Yom Kippur. Umizvad, and a person says Vidoy. Musaf, Mispalol Sheva, the brachas, you say 7 brachas in the Shemona Esrei. Umizvad, and you say Vidoy. Mincha and Yom Kippur, Mispalol Sheva, Mizvad. Same thing, 7 brachas, and you say Vidoy. B'ne'ilah, Mispalol Sheva, Mizvad. And Ne'ilah is the same. But Arvis, Motzi Yom Kippur, Mispalol Sheva, Me'ein Shemona Esrei. So the first opinion says, which again is not like we do, says you also say a shortened Shemona Esrei Motzi Yom Kippur. Reb Chanina ben Gamliel Mishum Avosav Omer. Reb Gamliel in the name of his father said, Avosav Omer Mispalol Shemona Esrei. You say a full Shemona Esrei Motzi Yom Kippur like we do. Mipnei shetzarich lomer havdalah b'chonei nadas. Because you need to say havdalah in chonei nadas. So ask the Gemara, that is it true that Reb Chanina ben Gamliel really holds that you say Havdalah in Modim? In this brisa, he seems to be saying that you say Havdalah in Chonei Nadas, in the bracha, in the 4th bracha. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak Iyu Omer Mishum Avosav V'Leilo Svirle. This he was quoting what his Avosav, what his ancestors held. But he himself disagreed, like we quoted before, and he held that we should say it in Modim. Okay, so just to clarify what we did, we had 2 statements of Amar Roim. We had Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel who said the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in 4 places. We basically pointed to 2 other cases where he paskin like Rabbi Eliezer. So how does that fit with his rule? So in that first Amora, we were able to answer that his statement was limited to Seder Taurus. Outside, it's different. Then we had another Amora, Rabbi Elazar, the Amora, who also paskin Rabbi Eliezer, he said in 4 places. But from him we proved that it was understood that it was not limited to Seder Taurus. So when we tried to work out that we have other places that he's paskin like Rabbi Eliezer, and both of them we were able to answer, it wasn't because of Rabbi Eliezer, it was because there was a different Tana that he was paskening. Okay, so that was basically the 2 members of the Amoraim. Okay, says the Gemara, Amrli Reb Yirmiyah Reb Zeira. So again, Reb Zeira in the discussion of these different spices, so the last one was katfa. So Reb Zeira said that you said that katfa pira is Rabbi Eliezer. You said that the Mishnah which said that thing katfa has the halachas of a pri, you said that's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. So ask the Gemara, Amrli Reb Yirmiyah Reb Zeira, Atlo tispera deman tana katfa pira Rabbi Eliezer. It sounded like Reb Zeira was the one that said that the person in the Mishnah that said Katfa has the halachas of a pri was Rabbi Eliezer. Ask Reb Yirmiyah, Reb Zeira was saying, you said. Ask Reb Yirmiyah to Reb Zeira, what, you disagree with that? Vatnan, Reb Eliezer Omer HaMaimid B'Sraf Arla Aser. The Mishnah said that if a person is maimid, which means like you keep, Rashi says you're keeping the milk of an animal around to make it into cheese. So if the ingredient which you put in it to allow it to stay around was sraf arla, so the sraf arla is like the sap from a tree. If it's the sap from a tree which was arla, so then it's aser. So basically we see Rabbi Eliezer saying that the sap from a tree has the halachas of a pri, has the halachas of a fruit, and therefore has the restrictions of arla on it. So if you use that sap to keep around something else, so then it's going to transfer the halachas onto that thing, and that thing will have the halachas of arla. Says the Gemara, Filu teim b'Rabbanon, ad kan lo pligi Rabbanon alei Rabbi Eliezer ela bekatfa the gavza. Maybe the Rabbanon only disagree by katfa the gavza. Let's take a look at Rashi. B'sraf hanotif mina eitz maybe sap which comes from a tree, that's when the Rabbanan say that's not a pri, doesn't have the halachas of a fruit. The ke'etz ba'al mahavi. Says Rashi, that's just like a part of the tree. Aval ktaf havi sraf hapagin, but ktaf in the Mishnah was the sap of pagin, which is unripe fruit. Modu v'Rabbanan, and that the Rabbanan agree that has the halachas of a fruit. Aval v'katve depira modelei. Okay, so the first answer is maybe the disagreement is about sap from a tree. Does a tree which was planted and therefore has the restrictions of arla, the sap from the tree, that's the machlokas. Does that have the halachas of a pri, of a fruit? But the sap which came, or like the juice or the sap which came from an unripe fruit, everyone there agrees that has the halachas of a pri. That nan omre b'yeshua shamati beferish shamaymid b'sraf ha'olin b'sraf ha'ikrin mutter. That if you use the sraf, the sap of the leaves, or the sap of the ikrin, the shorish, the roots, that it's mutter. It doesn't have the restrictions of arla. But b'sraf ha'pagin aser mipnei shu pri. But if it's the sap from the unripe fruits, then it's a pri. It has the halachas of a fruit and has the restrictions of arla. Ibais eima ki pligi Rabbanan le Rabbi Eliezer bilanos heperis. Maybe the Rabbanan only disagree by a tree which produces fruits. But a tree which doesn't produce fruits, so then the only fruits it has is the sap which even comes from the tree. Okay, so we're saying two distinctions of how Reb Zera understood that the Rabbanan are closer to Rabbi Eliezer. So one is the Rabbanan agree that the sap from unripe fruits has the halachas of arla. The second is that in a tree which doesn't have any real fruits, so then basically the only fruits that it has is the sap which even comes from its tree. The Tanan Reb Shimon Omer ein l'ktaf shvius. Reb Shimon said that the ktaf, the sap, doesn't have the halachas of shvius. Chachamim omrim yesh l'ktaf shvius. The Chachamim said it does have the halachas of shvius. Mipnei shekatva zeu pirio, because the sap is its fruit. So man Chachamim. Who's the Chachamim in this Mishnah that said the sap has the halachas of a fruit? Lav Rabbanan de Peligi Alei Rabbi Eliezer. Is it not the Rabbanan who disagree with Rabbi Eliezer? Meaning we're talking about a tree which doesn't have fruits, and the Chachamim said the sap has the halacha of a fruit. So we're saying that sounds like a good proof that even the Rabbanan who normally say sap doesn't have the halachas of a fruit. But it sounds like on a tree which doesn't have fruits, they agree that because this tree doesn't have any fruits, the only thing we can define as its fruits is the sap. Saying no. There was an elderly person who explained in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Man Chachamim Rabbi Eliezer. That no, this Mishnah doesn't prove that the Chachamim agree by a tree without fruits that the sap is its fruit. Because you could learn that this is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who always holds that the sap from a tree has the halachas of a pri for arla. Rabbi Eliezer, my area ilon shenos a pri, filo ilon osa perio zeo katv, says zeo perio. Ask the Gemara if it's really Rabbi Eliezer. So why is the Mishnah discussing a case where the tree doesn't produce any fruits? You should discuss even if the tree produces fruits. Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is that the sap is its fruit. So it says, no, that he's speaking according to the Rabbanan. Lididi, according to me, Rabbi Eliezer is saying, afilu ilon ha'ose peiros namikatva ze'apiriu. Even a tree which produces fruits, the sap always has the halachas of a fruit. But liditchu, what he's saying is, according to you, who normally disagree and you hold that the sap does not have the halachas of a fruit, Odili mihas be'ilon shenos apeiros the katva zehu pirio. You should at least agree to me in a tree which doesn't have any real fruits that the sap we should define as its fruits and it should have the restrictions of arla. Rabbanan omri le lo shna, and the Rabbanan respond, no, there's no difference. Okay, so that was two answers for how the Rabbanan, who normally we would have thought understand that the sap from any tree doesn't have the halacha of a pri, doesn't have the halacha of a fruit. two suggestions of how they could really be closer to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, either we said maybe they were only discussing the sap from a tree itself, but if the sap would come from an unripe fruit, then they agree that has the halachas of a pri. And the second suggestion was that maybe in a tree which doesn't produce any real fruits, then they're in agreement that the sap which comes from that tree has the halacha of a pri, of a fruit. Okay, so two dots ches and beis, we're going back to the Mishnah which we quoted earlier. Okay, so the Mishnah Zayin Amud Aleph basically said if you have four women, which the rule is basically it's unusual for them to see blood. One was Basula, so we're going to talk about Basula normally means a woman who has not yet had relations with anybody. Me'uberes means a pregnant woman. Menika, a woman who's nursing. Vizkena, an elderly person when she's past the point of having Niddah. Okay, so the halacha the Mishnah said was those four women, if they see blood, dayan shaita, that they don't have to go, they don't have to be concerned that they really saw the blood earlier. Because it's unusual for them to see, they can assume they're just tameh from that point in time. Okay, so says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, Niseis v'ra'as hadam, machmis nisuin. If a lady got married and she saw blood from having relations the first time, machmis nisuin, from being married, yalda, and then she had a baby, v'ra'as hadam machmas leida, and she saw blood because she had a kid. Adayin ani karila basula. Says the Brisa, for this discussion, she still has the status of a basula. Sharei basula sha'amru basulas damim v'lo basulas basulim. When we discussed in the Mishnah basula, we weren't discussing that she has never seen blood in her lifetime. What we were discussing is she's never seen Niddah. She's never gotten her period before. So although this girl has seen blood from being married, and although the girl has seen blood because she had a kid, but the halach of the Mishnah stays the same, that as long as she's never seen blood because of having her period, so then it's unusual for this girl to see, and the first time she sees, she doesn't have to be concerned that she really saw it earlier than she became aware of it. Ask the Gemara, Ini, is that true? V'amar of Kahana Tana Gimel Basulas Hein. Rav Kahana said there's three types of basulas. Basulas Adam, there's a basula of a person, so we'll see what that means. Basulas karka, there's karka which has been unused. Basula shikman, there's a tree which has not been touched. Basulas adam calls man shalei nivala. When we discuss a basula by a person, it means a woman who's never had relations. Nafka mina l'kohen gadol. Application of that would be that a kohen gadol who needs to marry a basula, who needs to marry a girl who never had relations. Inami l'ksubasa masayim. Or that her ksuba is 200. Once a lady has had relations and she doesn't have the dam basulim, so the ksuba goes down to 100. Basulas karka calls man shalei nevda. The karka, if you have a land which was unworked, basulas karka means land which was never worked. What's the difference? Nafka mina lenachal eson. The parsha of Egla Rufa, when you find a dead person in between the two cities, says the whole procedure which the Ziknei Ha'ir do. So one of the things they need to do is they need to bring it to a Nachal Eisen. They need to bring it to a karka which was never worked. So Basulas karka, the nafkamina of having karka, land which was never worked, is for that discussion. Inami lemekach umemkar. Or if you sell something, you sell somebody a fresh piece of land, which Rashi says that if it's never been worked, so then it's basically not worn out. It'll be very productive in the first years. So that would be another practical application of discussing fresh land which was never been worked. Psula shikma, a tree which was never worked, calls man shalei niktzatza. It was never cut down. So we're talking about a tree which they would cut it down, which would allow it to grow more branches for wood. Nafka mina lemekach umemkar. That if a person wants to buy that tree which has potential to produce tremendous amounts of wood. Inami lemiktzatza b'shvias. Or for the halach of cutting it down on shvias. Kedetnan, we learned in kotzitzin besula shikma b'shvias. Bipnei shiavoda. You can't cut down a tree which has never been cut down yet, because that has the status of doing an avoda on Shemitah. Trimming it, thank you. Yeah. Okay, ask the Gemara. So we had the original statement which said when the Mishnah is discussing the halachas of Niddah, and it said the word besula, it doesn't mean the normal besula, which means a girl who's never yet had relations. We said even though she had relations and she saw blood, even though she had a kid, she had 10 kids, and she saw blood many times, but if she never had her period yet, so then that's what the Mishnah is describing as besula. So ask the Gemara, Rav Kahana said there's 3 types of besulas. What were they? Karka, by land, this type of tree, and the normal besula, a lady who has not yet had relations. Ask the Gemara, Vim Isa, listening namiha Omer of Nachmar Yitzchak. So is that listening namiha? If you're right, if the Bryce is right that there's a 4th category basically, that we'll say the word psula as a reference to a girl who has never seen dam niddah, never had her period before. So why was that not included in Rav Kahana's statement of there's 4 types of besulas? So we're going to have a whole series of answers of Amoraim, why even though it's true that there is a 4th category, Rav Kahana left it out of his list. A bunch of reasons of why would he leave it out of his list, even though there really is a 4th category. Amr of Nachman bar Yitzchak, Kika tani midi de lesle shem lavoy. Rav Kahana's list was limited to things which don't have a nickname to them. It was just a besula of a person, a besula of karka, a besula of a tree. Aval midi this leshem lavoy lo katani. But this, which has a nickname to it, you have to say besula's damim. You have to say, because normal besula by a person means she's never had relations, she still has dam, she still has blood. But this, which needs a nickname for it, because it's talking about never having seen dam niddah, never having had her period, so because you need a shem lavoy, that was not included in Rav Kahana's list. Rav Kahana was only listing things which a person has to do an action for it to happen. A person has to do an action to decide to have relations, an action to decide to work the karka, to trim the tree. But something which a woman getting her period, which is not dependent on any decision, so that was not included in the list. Rav Kahana was only listing things which once it happened, it's never going to come back. Once a woman has relations the first time, that dam never comes back. Once the karka is worked, it never comes back. But by niddah, where when a girl's younger, she doesn't have it, and when a woman's older, she also doesn't have it, so that was not included in the list. Ravina Amar ki katani midi de kapet alezvina. Midi de loy kapet alezvina loy katani. We were only listing things which when a person's buying them, a person's getting married, buying the land, he cares about this fact of is it fresh or it's used? Is the karka ever been used or not? But things which people don't care about, the Gemara is saying a person wouldn't care whether or not this girl has had her period before, that was not included in the list. Ask the Gemara, v'lekapti? Is that true that a person wouldn't care about such a thing? He said just like sourdough is good for the dough, kach damim yafin leisha. So too the blood, the niddah, the blood which a woman has is good for a woman. V'tanya mishum Reb Meir kol isha shedameha merubin banea merubin. Reb Meir said that a woman who has more blood has the opportunity to have more children. So what the Gemara is asking is to tell me that people don't care about that. It doesn't seem to be true, because it seems to be that there's advantages of having dam niddah. Ela ki katani midi de kapetz alezvina, midi de la kapetz alezvina lo katani. The Gemara is saying the other way, that by the other 3, it's the type of things that a person's happy if you don't have them. A person's happy if the woman has never had relations. He's happy if the karkas has not been used. By this, it's the other way, that the person wants that she has lots of blood. Since he wants that it should be extra, so therefore it's not included in Rav Kahana's list. Tanu Rabbanan Ezui Besulas Karka. What's the definition of karka which is unused? Kol shema'ala rishushin ve'in afra tichuach. That if you would pick up the rishushin, Rashi one pshat says small little rocks, and the dirt won't rot. So that's a sign that the karka is very fresh. Nimtza b'cheres, if you find pottery in it, biyadua shenevda. So it must be somebody really worked it, and something broke and fell into the ground. Sunma harizu psulas karka. And if you find rocks there, then it seems like it was unworked. That's a sign that it's fresh karka. Okay, let's see two more lines. Muberis b'sheyodea ubra. The Mishnah said that if you have a pregnant woman, so once she realizes she's pregnant, then she's in of if she finds dam niddah, then she doesn't have to assume it was really there earlier. She can assume she's tameh from that point in time. V'kama karsa uber. So how long is it before the woman realizes that she's pregnant? Says the Gemara, it's dependent on 3 months. After 3 months, when naturally her stomach starts coming out, so then she has the status of hakaras uber, of realizing she's pregnant, and that's when the halacha kicks in. Says the Gemara, even though there's not a great proof to this, there's a smach, you see a similar idea. In the story of Yehuda v'Tamar, the pasuk basically says, after 3 months, she realized she was pregnant. Ask the Gemara, Zeichel Adavar, Kruksiv, Rai Gedolahi. That sounds perfect. Sounds like the pasuk saying, after 3 months, she knew she was pregnant. So, why did you say it's not a great proof, but it's a smach? Why isn't it? It's mamish exactly what you're saying. It says the Gemara, Mishum de'ika de'yalda l'tes, v'ika de'yalda l'shiva. So in the Zman of the Gemara, Shulchan Aruch already says that this changed, but in the Zman of the Gemara, they would have a 7th month pregnancy or 9th month pregnancy. The Gemara deals with it that an 8th month pregnancy, the Gemara says that the kids very often would not make it. Okay, so what the Gemara is saying is if you had a 7th month pregnancy, so then her hakaras ha'uber, her third of her pregnancy, so she'll realize she's pregnant before 3 months. What the Mishnah's chiddush is that in Hilchas Niddah, it's still dependent on 3 months, no matter what type of pregnancy the lady's having. So once that's true, so then the proof from the pasuk is not so great, because the pasuk could be it was a 9th month pregnancy, so her hakaras ha'uber, her realizing was 3 months, but for a 7th month pregnancy it could be earlier. So that's really why it's not such a great proof, but we're still saying it's always dependent on 3 months.